Hello everyone. Today I am going to discuss the topic constructor and deconstructor, which is a very important topic in the subject name object oriented system and design with C++. The subject code of this is BCS 054 and I am Sarvachan Verma and assistant professor in IT department at Ajay Kumar Engineering College, Ghaziabad. So, now if we are talking about constructor, so basically constructor is used to for initialization purpose, and basically constructor has the same name as the class name. First thing, constructor does not have any return type, even void also, okay, or it is a special kind of methods which is executed automatically. A constructor is automatically called when an object of a class is created. And last one thing is that if we do not specify a constructor, so basically C++ compiler generate a default constructor for the program, and this default constructor means the constructor having no parameters. So, constructor basically used for initialization purpose. Second thing, if you want to perform some activity at the time when the code will run, when the code will executing, when the code will start your execution. So, in that scenario constructor is the best choice. So, these are the basic things about the constructor. Let us see now. Now, we discuss how to declare and define the constructor. So, constructor can be defined inside the class or outside the class. These are the two syntax. First syntax belongs to inside the class and second syntax belongs to outside the class. Okay. So, inside this code you can see class ABC, and these are the two values I and j, these are the data types, and this is the constructor. So, at we have already said constructor has the same name as the class name. This is the class name, this is the class name. So, this type of declaration we can say this the constructor is declared inside the class. So, whenever the object of this class will be created, suppose the object of this is A1, immediately this piece of code will be executed and I and j will be assigned the value 20. Now, if we are talking about the constructor will be declared outside the class, in that scenario first we declare inside the class. This is how we can justify this is declaration, because declaration always terminate by the semicolon. Then after we define outside the class ABC, ABC, I and j equal 20. Every students have some questions regarding the constructor is public, private or protected. So, make sure in C++ constructor can be defined under public section, private section and protected section. So, by understanding these two declaration syntax, we can define the constructor inside the class or outside the class, no issue at all. Now, the question is arise into the mind types of constructor. So, first if we are talking about the default constructor, first type of constructor is default constructor. Default constructor is the constructor which does not have any argument or it has no parameter, both are same things. So, default constructor has no parameter. This this is the example of default constructor. So, constructor name same as the class name, this is the default constructor, okay, and I am going to declare two parameters a equal 10 and b equal 20. These are the public members. Program execution start from this point, and I am going to create the object of class constructor. The name of the object is C. Okay. So, whenever this C object will be created, immediately this piece of code will be executed. So, in the reference of object C, the value of A and the value of V will be assigned to 10 and to 20. Now, next line going to print the value of variable A and B in reference of object C. So, whenever this piece of code, this line will be executed, immediately A dot will be as it is printed, C dot A value is 10 and B dot C dot B value is 20. So, this is a normal and common example we can say of the default constructor. Okay. Now, parameterized constructor. So, as a name suggests, parameterized constructor is constructor which have parameters. Okay. So, it is used to provide different values to distinct objects. Okay. The constructor which has parameter is called parameterized constructor. Second thing, it is used to provide different values to different objects. Okay. So, this is the very useful example of parameterized constructor. So, in this example the class name is employee and constructor have same name as the class name. Second thing, constructor have no return type, that is why we are not including any return type in this declaration. The constructor has three arguments I, n or s. I is integer type, n is string type and s is float type. Now, if constructor has parameter, so we can say constructor has parameterized constructor. Okay. These are three variables id, name and salary. Okay. So, the value I will be transferred to id, value of n will be transferred to name and value of s will be transferred to salary. And this is the method which is used to display. Now, listen this code very carefully. The execution will start from this point, and whenever this objects will be created E1, and after you will see here this value will be passed to these parameters. So, even I will allow to 101 and allow to or S transferred the value to 8900 in the reference of object E. Similarly, for the object of E2, the value of I is 102, the value of n is Nakul and the value of S is 5900. So, these are the different values, distinct values for the object E1, and these are the different values for the object E1. So, parameterized constructor, as we has already said, if we want to provide the different values to different objects. So, parameterized constructor will be used in that scenario. Now this E1 dot display and E2 dot display line will be executed. Now whenever these two methods will be called, this piece of code will be executed. Okay. So first line will be executed in the reference of E1 object. So you will see here ID in the case of okay, whenever this piece of code will be executed, this values will be transferred to this variables and the value will be transferred in ID, name and salary. Even in the form of E1, the value of ID is 101 and sir or S 8900. Similarly, for the reference of object E2, the ID is 102 and ID and name is name. Similarly, salary. Name equal Nakul and salary equal 5900. So these are the different values. Okay. Then after this line will be executed and this line will be executed, then ID has 101, name is sir and salary is. Similarly, when this line will be executed, so the value in respect of E2 object will be reflected here. So in that case, the value is 102 Nakul and 5900. I think these entire piece of code fully understood by you, hopefully. Basically, if we see this entire code, first thing has been cleared. If you want to provide different values to different objects, suppose in my class, 50 students are there and 50 students having different names, different salary structure and different marks and different percentage, different attendance percentage. And so just we are giving the values, just we are creating 16 objects, 60 objects and give the separate values for separate objects. So for you can say, with the using of this type of approach, constructor type of approach, the length of the code will be reduced, because if employee method is treated as a normal method, in that case we call with the help of object name. This then that piece of code will not call automatically. But in this scenario, when this line will be executed, immediately this piece of code will be executed. So if we are assigning the 60 objects and we are assigning the 4 values for 60 objects like name, attendance, marks percentage and we can say the different mobile number. So we are written 60 into 4, 240 lines of code only for assigning the values to a particular objects. But if we are using the constructor, then we are just simple write the 16 lines and that 60 line will be executed automatically. So constructor is the best choice if you want to reduce the length of the code, and through constructor the readability of the code will be increased. Or most common thing is with constructor is that at the time of program execution, if you want to perform some initialization activity, then constructor play very vital and very important role. Okay. Now कंस्ट्रक्टर ओवरलोडिंग, कंस्ट्रक्टर ओवरलोडिंग एक ये कॉन्सेप्ट है in which single class can contain multiple constructor, and constructor having different number of parameters. Suppose I have one class A, so for different parameters I can declare multiple constructor. We can summarize our statement in that the constructor overloading is that which constructor having multiple constructor in the class and constructor having one or more, we can say 0 or more parameters in the defining section. Okay. So, we can have more than one constructor in a class with same name as long as each has a different list of arguments. Then this concept is known as constructor overloading, and it is quite similar to function overloading. Quite similar, we can say maximum all similarities are there, but smaller difference is that in function overloading we call with the function name, and in function constructor overloading it is called automatically. Overloading constructor essentials have the same name and different number of arguments. Okay. A constructor is called depending upon the number and type of arguments passed. While creating the object, arguments must be passed to the compiler known which constructor need to be called. So, these are the some assumptions, and we can say regarding the constructor overloading. So, this program has show the example of constructor overloading. So, this first constructor has no argument, second constructor has 2 argument. Now, we can simply say these constructor are overloaded constructor. We cannot summarize our statement that constructor has no argument and this constructor has one and more argument or 0 argument, and if we defining the multiple constructor in a same class, then we can say these are the constructor overloading. So, inside this constructor will be created. This is the 0 argument constructor, this is the 2 argument constructor. Now, whenever this object will be created, object O, immediately default constructor will be called, or in the reference of object O the area will be 0, but it means like this. When this line will be executed, in the reference of object O2 the value of A become 10 and the value of B become 20, and this will be calculated 200 and this will be stored in the, so in the reference of object A2 the value area value is 20, in the reference of object O2 the area value is 0. Okay. Now, now we are going to display the value of 0 and O2. So, what is the value of in the reference of object O2? The value is 0 and in the O2 reference mein the value is 20. So, these are the different values, okay, and these are the different things. So, in today lecture we have discussed the constructor, types of constructor and constructor overloading, and these examples play and just you type and executing in your system and see the output, and you can change the different parameters, you can change the different, you can apply these concept on different problems. So, definitely you will get good understanding about